Switzerland just launched an attack on Donald Trump. Think about that for a second. Welcome back to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. We have a late-breaking story today that shatters an almost 500-year-old precedent. And no, that is not an exaggeration. The nation of Switzerland has set a worldwide example of how a country can embrace pacifism and neutrality. A country of fairy tale castles, one of the highest standards of living in the world. The people are known for a friendly spirit, their culture, brotherly love, and of course, the cuckoo clock. Where would the world be without the cuckoo clock? Now, officially, the Swiss haven't engaged in a war since 1817 during the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon invaded the country as part of his quest to turn mainland Europe into the French Empire. Some historians, however, date the neutrality and pacifism of Switzerland all the way back to 1516, when the kingdom signed a peace treaty with France. Since then, Switzerland has never been an aggressor in a conflict. During the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon annexed Switzerland and turned it into a satellite state of France, but even then, he granted the state independence and neutrality. What's this have to do with Donald Trump? Getting there, but this is important. Following Napoleon's defeat, the European powers declared the nation as neutral land and agreed that it would never be invaded. Keep in mind, the European powers seldom got along until the 20th century. It was a miracle they agreed on that point. Switzerland managed to dodge World War I and World War II, and keep that in mind as we continue with this story. Switzerland now hates Donald Trump more than Adolf Hitler, and that takes effort. Even in the modern era, the Swiss didn't join the United Nations until 2002. After Russia illegally annexed Crimea in 2014, the Swiss still refused to adopt sanctions toward Russia. That's how much they love their neutrality, and how deeply they value it as part of their national character. Napoleon, Hitler, Putin, Switzerland could put up with them. Not so with Donald Trump. Of course, Trump doesn't do himself any favors. While appearing at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland last month, Trump went off on a tirade talking about how he needed to extend tariffs to Europe. Who'd have thought?
Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff.
Such a charmer, that Donald Trump. Who would have thought that the European leaders would be upset because he went to their party and started talking about how he needed to extend tariffs on their countries? The man who just loves to break political norms, abuse power, and break precedents here in the United States has actually inspired the Swiss to break a precedent of their own. Earlier today, the Swiss celebrated the Basil Carnival. That's a post-Ash Wednesday Protestant festival, one of the biggest in the world if you're unfamiliar. Participants dress in wild costumes and party from Monday to Thursday. Today, during the grand finale of the festival, this happened. Yes, you saw that. The Swiss are throwing confetti and wearing giant middle finger masks in mockery and rage against Donald Trump. They even got a full band of flautists to walk along with them, a drum corps. This is wild. I can't stress enough, this is wildly out of character for the Swiss to do something so political and to make it part of the nation's biggest festival. And above all, it's important to remember, that's how much they hate Trump. More than Napoleon, more than Hitler, more than Stalin, more than Putin. And no, this has nothing to do with the United States cutting off aid, as some ignorant right-wingers have suggested on social media. Switzerland is a wealthy country with many strong sources of income. This is about how much they detest that disgusting, moronic, crude, lying, rapey, pussy-grabbing, narcissistic oaf. That is how much they hate him. Note to my fellow Americans, follow the example. If only Americans could hate that son of a bitch just as much, we'd have solved one of the world's biggest problems, not to mention one of our own. Also note to my fellow Americans, it is a very bad sign when Switzerland turns on you. Maybe it's time to rethink our foreign policy. On the other hand, maybe the Swiss will start making cuckoo clocks that portray Trump as a cuckoo. It wouldn't be a far cry from reality, would it? I'm David Reddish.